If you are a neutral fan, then Chelsea are definitely the team that are going to entertain you this season. If you're a Chelsea fan, then Chelsea are the team that are probably going to give you a heart attack this season, because yesterday the chaos at Stamford Bridge resumed once again, where Chelsea ran out 3-2 winners over Brighton. We were on the kickoff yesterday discussing this match, but we had to get in and give you lot our player ratings from yesterday's game. And here to help me do so and to discuss yesterday's game is my friend and channel fan favourite, Josh Aveste. Josh, what's happening, mate? You was at the game. How was it?
We've won a game of football. We've won a game of football at home. When was the last time we did it, mate? It feels like it's been an absolute eternity.
When was the last time we did it?
I honestly don't know. It's been so long that it's...
Luton. It was Luton.
Gone out of my memory. And I mean, Luton is one of those ones where you go, well done, you beat Luton. You know, they're not the best team in the world.
You say that, yeah? You say that. I really rate Luton.
Yeah.
Pound for pound. Like, I don't rate them in the grand scheme of things. They're not going to be making a Europa League push.
They're
probably neither are we, but...
place. yeah. They're a great 17th place. So fair enough, we beat Luton.
Yeah.
But it was a good win.
Yeah.
I have to say, mate, I think I might have had some heart palpitations during the game. What about you?
Mate, it was. Do you know when I say it was a hard watch? Yeah, I don't mean it was a hard watch and it wasn't an entertaining game. Like, Chelsea are the gift that keeps on giving this season if you're a neutral fan. But when you've got invested interest and this is the club you love, it's a hard watch. It's a hard watch because it's like watching a mate that boxes that you know's got no chin. You know, even if he's doing well at any time, he could be dropped. Yeah. And that's what I'm like with Chelsea. I'm like, yeah, you know, we got a 2-goal cushion and I still don't feel safe. And it's a complete contrast of years gone by, because I don't even need to go back to under Mourinho and under Ancelotti. I could even say under Tuchel. Chelsea get a 2-goal lead, mate. We ain't letting it slip. And we very nearly did yesterday. So I think that, let's be honest, like, our hearts were having palpitations yesterday and it was edge of your seat stuff. But I think we do need to commend the boys in being able to see the job out and get it over the line. When you were in the stadium, I know it's very hard because we had individual moments that were good, but to summarise it, did you leave that stadium, obviously you were happy, but did you leave there thinking you saw a good performance from Chelsea?
Oh, God, it's so difficult to define good performances for us at the moment. I almost define any win that we can possibly get now as a decent performance. Yeah. I have to say, like, what worries me at the moment is we are not convincing, as you say, in any phase of the play. We're not convincing really up front anymore. We're not convincing in defence. And so... any result at the moment, I'm kind of celebrating. But I have to say, it's a bit quiet in the stadium at the moment. It really is. And you sort of, there's a feeling that you kind of think, are we going to lose? Are we going to end up folding in the way that we always do, capitulating? And there is that sort of tension throughout the stadium. It isn't as bouncy and as joyful as it once was. And I think we do need to get a run of results going to be able to get to that point. And I think we could... build on that. We could get a run of results, and we'll talk about that when we talk about Man United and our fixtures coming up. But we do have a run coming up where you're like, these are winnable fixtures, especially over Christmas.
I'll tell you what I would say though, like, obviously the context of how we've been doing recently probably nullifies this point I'm about to make, because you could go, well, you didn't play well, X, Y, Z game, whatever you want to talk about. But historically, we never play great against Brighton. We do never play great against Brighton, do we? No. We get some wins against Brighton. I was at the game against Brighton in the League Cup this season. We didn't play great. We really didn't play great. 2-0 win, was it? 3 goals, really, we scored, if you think about the Nicholas Jackson disallowed goal, but we didn't play great in that match, you know what I mean? Pre-season, beaten 4-3, but we went, 3-0 up or something, then shipped 3 goals and still won, but last season, failed to get a win over them, not even failed to get a win, got beaten both times. I have to go back to when Reece James absolutely smashed in that goal at their ground to remember a time that we really played well against Brighton.
Yeah.
So we never turn up well against Brighton. At the end of the day, win, lose or draw, we got the job done, didn't we?
We did. And I'll tell you what, right? We were discussing this. I want us to rewind almost a month ago. We were saying we've got a really tough run of fixtures coming up, right? And I'm looking at it now. We had Spurs, City, Newcastle, Brighton, and now we've got Man United and Everton coming up. But Man United was the last of the hard games.
We've got a couple of easy games coming up then.
Well, there you go. This is what you're saying. I love your thinking. We'll get into that in a second. But I have to say, right, imagine we do win against Man United and we get 10 points out of those 5 games. If you
sorry, just quickly, if we win against Man United, I think we move 1 point behind them, 2 points behind them or something like that. So
not bad. But look, to get the 3 points against Spurs, a draw against City, lose against Newcastle, bad game, but come on, going up there is never easy. Winning against Brighton at home, and then if we do win against Man United, I think that's a real success for us. And I think we should be really proud of our boys, because that is a really difficult run of fixtures. Really.
When we started off on this run of fixtures, it kicked off with the Arsenal game, didn't it? Obviously, we had Brentford in between. And, the games that we thought we'd win, maybe we didn't win. The games that we didn't think we'd lose, maybe we did lose. But all in all, if I take myself out of it and look at it, sit back and look at that run of fixtures, providing that we beat Man United or don't get beat by Man United, I didn't think going into that fixture, that sort of congested run of fixtures there with hard games coming every week, I didn't think that we'd get out of that run with only 2 losses to our names. And I definitely didn't think that none of the likes of Arsenal, Man City and potentially Man United coming up, if we do get a win against them or fail to be beat, would be able to turn us over. And I'm very confident, man, that Man United don't beat us. Man United, I'm saying it time in, time out this season, and people are hating on me because they're not very good. No. They're not very good, but they get over the line. And I said to you a while ago, I think I'd take it. I think I'd take playing like that if I was just getting the 3 points on the board. Yeah. And maybe yesterday, careful what you wish for, because we did have that, but 3 points over anything, really. So
yeah, I think now points are the most important thing, and I almost don't care if we do end up going defensive and we end up grinding games like we used to do, because the key thing for us now is going up the table. And I do think, regardless of what we're saying here, Poch is going to want to be attacking, and he'll want to play in his own way. So we will carry on leaking goals. This season is going to be one of those ones where you've just got to learn quite a lot of lessons, and I feel we're still going to have to learn a few lessons. There's still going to be ups, downs. We're going to see that, right? We're not going to end up going on a really positive trajectory. It's just the way this season will go, especially with all the young players, especially if we can't really strengthen in January. So we've got to be up for it. It doesn't help our hearts, but I think, that's just Chelsea at the moment, isn't it?
One thing is being up for it, but one thing is being able to keep players on the pitch for 90 minutes. We got a real bad disciplinary record at the moment, man. I look at last season, we had 3 sendings off in total. Yeah. We had the João Felix one, we had Koulibaly, and I can't remember who the other sending off was. But
Great memory, though.
We had 3 in total. I can't remember who the other one was, but Koulibaly, João Felix, that was the straight red card against Fulham. Do you remember that? But yeah, so we only had those 3 sendings off last season. And this season, we've had 3 already. And not only have we had 3 already, I'm sure we had bans for multiple yellow cards last season, but they don't jump to memory, whereas we've already got quite a few of them as well. Raheem Sterling, if he gets another yellow card now, he gets a ban. Nicholas Jackson's had one. Cucurella's had one. Pochettino's had one. It's getting ridiculous, in my opinion, and we need to do something about this sooner rather than later, don't we? Because look, I don't want to go too deep on it, but it's not fair on us as the fans. Like, keep your cool, keep your head, because we're keeping our head for the most part in supporting this team. Because this is a turbulent time for us, you know what I mean? Like, you've got to keep your head on the pitch, man.
This is one of those things, and it really, really annoyed me actually in the ground, seeing it. And we've given Conor Gallagher so much credit this season. And to be fair, arguably player of the season so far. And I think there are other players that have been really, really good, but arguably best player of the season so far. A worthy captain, we were saying, before this game. But my God, that was idiotic. You have to say, right, they had just scored that goal. It was 2-1 before half-time. Let alone when they scored that goal, I was a little bit nervous because you go in, that's a very good time to score. They've got all the momentum coming into the second half. I could see it in my mind's eye, even before the Conor Gallagher sending off, that they go, get an early goal in the second half. It's 2-2, then it's squeaky bum time for us. But I have to say, right, talking about Conor in particular, you said it so rightly on the kickoff yesterday. It could have been 4 or 5 moments where he was sent off. And I just think, I almost look at Thiago Silva in moments like this, because he is one of those sort of really experienced players. And I go to, why is he not saying to Conor Gallagher, calm the fuck down. Don't do anything stupid. Just relax. We're about to go into half time. That foul, I don't care whether it was a sending off or not. And actually the referees overall I thought were fine. I thought they did okay yesterday, right? I don't think they were that bad. They've had some decisions where you're like, what's going on here? But they were all right. But he could have been sent off. And it was just, again, a lapse of judgment from an individual player and he's let us down. And I think the key thing to acknowledge here is that he has let us down. And I think it's a real shame.
People will look at the statistics, people will look at the match facts, and they won't remember that it wasn't only Conor Gallagher with the disciplinary issues yesterday. Caicedo could have been sent off for multiple bookings easily. And you mentioned Thiago Silva there, and maybe it's very unfair for me to sort of point this towards Thiago Silva because he's probably thinking, well, I had an all right game. I didn't do anything wrong. But we do need that. We do need that. Thiago Silva was elite, yeah? He's now brilliant. He's not elite anymore, but he's brilliant. He's a really good defender. And I still think he's very much worthy of a place in the team. But one of the main attributes that I believe Thiago Silva, not so much is there for, but can be sort of relied upon, hopefully, is being able to pass on that experience and being a leader on the pitch. And unfortunately, we are sort of seeing that Thiago Silva, as many players are, by the way, is a leader and example. Yeah. But he's not so much a vocal leader.
But look, I'm not blaming Thiago Silva for Conor Gallagher getting sent off. What I'm saying is we need people to help the younger players, but then also all of the squad, every single one of those players have to have their own individual license and own individual coolness to be able to know when to do the tackles and to know when to calm down. I have to say, in that moment, that was one of the worst times you could have got sent off. To leave your team with 45 minutes to play against a very, very solid Brighton team who are just as good as us, if not better at the moment, when you look at their performance and their league position. So I just think it was a really stupid thing to do. And I was really fuming with Conor Gallagher. There were a lot of people clapping him off on the way out. Yeah. I wasn't one of them because I feel he let the team down yesterday.
It's a weird one, that, isn't it? Because I remember Conor Gallagher, that was the other sending off last season. I knew there was one. I remember being at the Leicester match. We won it 2-1. We went 2 goals ahead. Raheem Sterling, 2 early goals, and they pulled one back. Conor Gallagher got sent off in that match. Do you know what happened when he left the pitch?
Clapped him off.
He got clapped off.
Yeah.
He got clapped off. Yeah. I was clapping too, to be fair. I didn't mind it. But I know what you mean. Context is everything. Then we didn't have a real disciplinary problem. Now we do. And we need to get over it. We desperately need to get over it. I do think we will, given time. But look, let's not go too harsh on the players. Let's go on to our player ratings.
Love it.
Let's start off with the man between the sticks, Robert Sanchez.
I feel that you and I are going to have some falling outs over these player ratings, and I can't wait for them.
We may well have.
Yeah.
But I don't think we are going to over Robert Sanchez, you know?
Nah, I think Robert Sanchez, right? My thoughts are on this. I'll give you my rating after my thoughts. My thoughts are he conceded 2 goals. Mm-hmm. He was very poor with his feet. Almost every single time the ball went back to him, we were nervous.
What did you think when that ball went back and he miscontrolled it?
I shat myself.
Mate, if he stood 6 inches further back, he concedes an own goal there, and it is howler of the season. Yeah, easy. And it beats anything Onana's done so far.
Oh, absolutely.
And that takes some fucking doing, mate.
It does. And Brighton were absolutely baying for blood with him, by the way. They hated him and the transfer that he did. And so you could see, I don't get it.
They weren't even playing him.
I don't get it, but
they're
also
a weird bunch.
They would jump on. They hate us. They hate us, don't they?
Who don't? No.
So I just think he would have fallen into a narrative that they wanted, right? And I just feel that my overall sentiment is this. I think he's going to be a very, very good number 2.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Do you agree?
I'd agree with you there as well. What I would say is, look, you can't really factor in how another goalkeeper might have done in that match, but without Robert Sanchez, we don't win that match yesterday. I don't think so. I think he pulled off some really good saves. And I actually think he comes under fire. And it's weird because his distribution from Brighton last season was really good. Like, I remember it. And even going back, I've watched little highlights and things like that on YouTube. His distribution was very good. And that's been one of his weaker points so far this season. But as a shot stopper, I'm not going to go 9 out of 10. I'm going to go 8 out of 10 times. I'm impressed by him as a shot stopper. Yeah. Bearing in mind, we're sort of clutching at straws here, but I think he could have done better for the goal. I think that his positioning, so the leap was there for all to see, but his positioning, he was a step too close to his near post for that goal. He needed to.
Are you talking about the first goal?
Yes. Yeah. I actually, do you know what? I actually think it's pretty hard to do anything about the second goal, the way that header comes across. It's just one of those awkward ones that, you know, there's no point diving for saying you knew you were never going to get. He was rooted, but it happens. It's the way that the ball sort of deflects off the head and comes in. But for the first goal, thought he could have done a little bit better, but I thought that he pulled off 2 or 3 what I would call match-winning saves. So I am going to actually go... I'm going to go a 7.5 for Robert Sanchez.
Well, this is where we disagree. I think, obviously, I'm in the ground and I'm hearing the sort of panic amongst the fans. And so I gave him a 5.
A 5?
I think, as you say, he was at fault for the first goal. Well, not at fault, but I feel like he could have done better. And I just think the panic that he instills in and around the defence, and I do think there were moments in which there were defenders that could have passed it back to him and chose not to. And I think that's a very scary position for us to be in. So I overall did give him a 5. I don't think he really covered himself in glory. And I don't think you can give a goalkeeper 7.5 rating when he concedes 2 goals.
Yeah.
Could have conceded more.
It's fair. I'll give him a 7 on mine. You're giving him a 5, yeah?
I am. I'm going to stick to a 5.
Oh, God. Right. Yeah. Okay, right. Let's go on to Axel Disasi. Axel Disasi, I'll keep this one sort of short and sweet. I didn't think he had a bad game. Didn't think he had an unreal game. Out of position, and that is... I know he played there for Monaco, but playing there in Ligue 1 in comparison to playing there in the Premier League, especially... I tell you what... Matoma had him on skates in that second half. Like he was, we you know the oldest trick in the book, that little fake shot when they cut inside.
Love it.
We were getting done by it every time, weren't we? So Axel Disasi, decent enough. I'm gonna say I'm gonna give him a 6, which again is if 5 is average, a little bit above average.
I agree with you. I gave him 6. I'm actually really warming to Disasi. I actually think he's a very, very solid player. And as a centre-back, I think we've got something there. And what I like about him is he's slightly older, he's slightly more experienced. He isn't a big ego. So I do think that we're going to end up seeing more and more of Disasi. And especially if Thiago Silva does go in the summer or in January. I mean, it could be January, right? So we could see a lot more of Disasi. And I actually think he's underrated generally in the fan base. So I actually really like him. But I agree with you totally. I would have gone with a 6 as well.
Speaking of Thiago Silva, I'll keep this one short and sweet as well. I think I'd give him a 6 again. A couple of people I sort of spoke to about the game thought he did a little bit better than that. Maybe would have deserved a slightly higher rating. I'd say about a 6.
Yeah.
Nothing unreal. Nothing too bad. No howlers. Maybe to get over the performance that he put in against Newcastle. Not that it was all that bad, but bad mistake for their goal. Would it have changed the match? I doubt it. They were going to win anyway. But to get over that and to come back with a solid performance, I think is impressive. It's not anything that I wouldn't have expected of a player of his experience. So would you agree around a 6?
I'd go 6.5. I think he was very solid. I think he did some very good little moments. There was one in particular that stuck out for me. There was a cutback that he blocked that basically was stopping a very good opportunity, a shot in the box for Brighton. So again, I thought he was solid. And that's what we expect from Thiago Silva. Good, solid performance. I think 6.5 is fair. I don't think you can go any higher than that when you, as a defender, concede 2 goals. It's that simple, really.
The man that I am going to give the highest rating to in this defence is Benoit Badiashile. Now, Benoit Badiashile is a player that I know me and you both admire a lot. And when he was out on the sidelines, we were... we can credit ourselves on constantly reminding people, remember Badiashile's coming back. He's class, I think, and I think that he'll be given a starting berth for France in years to come. The little overhead cutback kick for the goal, that was unreal. Like, you know what I mean? I'll tell you what, if Enzo Fernandez does that, or if Cole Palmer does that, we're waxing lyrical about that, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. I loved it. I love seeing it. Do you know what? You don't often get centre-backs doing assists like that, but overall, I thought it was a really solid performance for him. I loved it. I love seeing him happy. I love seeing him back in the squad. He seems like he's a really sound lad, doesn't he? He seems like he's a really good bloke. So to get that wonderful assist, I agree with you, we'd be going absolutely mental. I actually couldn't believe it.
And we're not just praising him on the assist, are we? Like, his defensive performance yesterday was very, very good. Yeah. But one thing with Benoit Badiashile, right, is like, it's been a while since we've had that defender that pops up with goals. Like, obviously, of course, I cast my mind back to the greatest defender Chelsea have ever had, John Terry, but there are other defenders that I can think of that used to pop up with goals. Ivanovic used to score, David Luiz used to score, long-range bangers, Rudiger used to get one in every now and again. But real, someone who, half the time they're on the pitch, seems to either pop up with a goal or assist. Benoit Badiashile, especially since he's been coming back, like, he's one that is a bit of a fox in the box, isn't he, Benoit Badiashile, by defending standards?
Was it Bournemouth last season that he slapped that really good goal in?
Bournemouth, yeah. Who did he score against? Was it Blackburn in the Cup? Or was it that game? He scored against Blackburn in the Cup, pretty sure. So, yeah, Benoit Badiashile, on yesterday's performance, I'm going to give him, and it might be as high as it goes for me, but I'm going to give him an 8.
Really? I think that's very high. I initially went 7, but actually you've convinced me a little bit more to go 7.5. I think, I say it again, but I think defenders, when they've conceded 2 goals, I wouldn't go too high. But as you say, he contributed at the other end of the pitch, so you got to bump him up a little bit. So 7.5.
Listen, I'm sure Trent will be getting plenty of higher ratings after yesterday's match, and them lot conceded 3 goals, so we will give Bevmar Badiashile an 8. Levi Colwell. Against his old club, it was never going to be easy. I don't know why he didn't celebrate. Fuck Brighton. Celebrate as much as you want, mate. You was only on loan there.
He did celebrate for about 2 seconds, by the way, which I loved because he was in the moment. He was like, I've scored a goal at Stamford
Good to
Bridge.
see him get his first Premier League goal for Chelsea.
Yeah, there you go. So I loved it where he completely forgot where he was for a second and he just went for it. He was about to run to the corner right in front of the Brighton fans and then went, oh shit, I played for them, put his hands up and did it. But, you know, again, it's so good to get these boys getting goals in the Premier League. We're getting to another player that got his first Premier League debut goal in a second. But yeah, I thought he was absolutely brilliant. And I also loved it that there was a bit of needle with him. You know, he wasn't buddy-buddy with the players on the pitch because it's very easy to do that, you know, when you're going back to your old club.
He's got that side to his game. That's something I like from Levi Colwell is he's got that side to his game, that little bit of fire, that little bit of intensity. Maybe in a Chelsea team that's lacking discipline massively, you want to harness that fire. But I tell you what, once we get control of these things, that's going to help us out big time in years to come. So I thought he was really good yesterday. I thought defensively he was very good. I thought that he could have done better for Buonanotte. How is it?
Buonanotte.
All right. No rolled R's
Look at the
on that
Italian.
one.
Look at the Italian. You got to love it. No rolled R's for you. We can practice that later.
Yeah, I thought he could have done a little bit better for that goal.
I think he could as well. I think he could. He should have basically stepped out to him. And we were blaming Sanchez. Like, I think Sanchez gets probably 30% of the blame, but Colwell gets 70%. He should have been right up there, right up against him. And, I mean, maybe that is a bit of rustiness that he's been out of the team for a while. But I have to say, right, it's so good to have him back. Like, we've missed him. And I do think now he is the starting left back for me that I would choose in most games.
I think, look, when you look at that as well, we're slightly criticising Levi Colwell there, but at the same time, what you've got to remember is Brighton are, second top scorers in the Premier League this season? I think maybe third, but if they are third, they're only 1 goal behind Arsenal. They score a lot of goals, and one of those goals we only had 10 men on the pitch for, so you can't be overly critical of the defence, even though we conceded 2. I would give Levi Colwell a 7 out of 10.
Love it. I was going to go 6.5 purely because of the goals conceded, but I think 7 is fair. Let's go with 7.
7 is fair. Let's go on to the midfield. Let's start off with Moises Caicedo playing against his former club. What did you think of Moises Caicedo yesterday?
Do you know what? We were saying earlier on that he made a few rash tackles. But what I loved about Pochettino in this game is he obviously said to the boys, I want to see a bit more passion and a bit more fight for you, especially in the midfield area, right? And Caicedo embodied that perfectly. He was up there, very aggressive, closing people down as quickly as he could. More of a sort of traditional holder, and at times was actually sort of like almost forming like a midfield, like a back 3 almost at points because he was that deep. But I have to say he was everywhere. And seeing him play against Brighton made me realise how much we missed him in the Newcastle game.
Oh, we did miss him massively. I do think when he doesn't play, we do miss him.
Yeah.
And I think that we're a much better team with Moises Caicedo in there. That being said, I thought he was rash at times yesterday, and I think that someone needs to get on the training ground with that midfield 3 and work with them on their tackle timing. Like, their timing in the challenge is very important because they're making the right challenges, but the timing's bad and they're giving away free kicks left, right and centre. Another thing as well is Caicedo was dispossessed a couple of times yesterday. Again, are we nitpicking? Yeah. Were we a better team for having him in the lineup? Yeah. But would I like to see him do a little bit better? Yeah. However, saying that, I thought he showed a lot of fight yesterday. He was up for the game against his former club, reacted well to the hate that he was getting from the fans. And I think, yeah, as I say, we were a better team for having him in there. I would give him, and I think you might think this is harsh, I'd give him a 6 out of 10 for yesterday.
I think that's really, really harsh. I think there's a fine line, right, between a very well-timed tackle that you absolutely love and you cheer and a mistimed tackle. I think it's milliseconds. So to say that he mistimed, left, right and centre, I think is harsh. I go a 7 because of how important he is to the team. And I think it's this clear, mate. If Caicedo wasn't playing in that game, we would have been overrun in the midfield, especially when Gallagher goes off and we would have lost the game. So for that reason alone, I'm going to give him a 7.
Do you know what? I didn't think about the fact that he was in that midfield without Gallagher for so long. Let's go 7. Let's go 7. Good man, Moises. I know you're a watcher. A man that I have been shouting from the rooftops about when it comes to wanting to see more from. I think yesterday we did see a lot from him. I don't know, though, whether I would call this his best performance in a Chelsea shirt, you know. I still don't know whether I would. You know the man we're talking about. It's Enzo Fernandez. What are you saying on Enzo?
Best in the league, right? Best in the entire Premier League for progressive passes per 90 and assists per... not assists per 90, through passes per 90.
Stats don't lie, mate.
Stats don't lie. So, again, I think we've been incredibly harsh on Enzo. I think it's one of those things where you don't see him do the assists, but maybe you see him do the assist. You see him put those passes through. How many times were we looking at Jorginho, mate, and saying, for fuck's sake, Jorginho, play the ball forward?
Oh, mate.
Please.
He is a massive, massive upgrade on Jorginho in that little role. So
yeah. So to say that a young player coming into the Premier League has got to learn it, play all the games that he's played, and still be electric, elite, get assists, goals, I think is harsh, right? But I think when you look at those stats and see what he contributes to the team and the way that he presses us forward, allows us to build up, and does form a very solid pivot with Caicedo, I think we've been too harsh on him generally. But I think this was his sort of coming of age game in that he got that amazing header. He was in the right place at the right time. And you have to be there, don't you? We've said it so many times that our strikers aren't in and around the area. We've said so many times that we haven't even got midfielders in and around the box to get the goals. And he had to be in there, and he was in the right place at the right time. So brilliant goal. The one for me that really proves his bottle was the penalty.
Yeah.
Because it was a bloody long time.
Cole Palmer was ready to come on as well.
And he could
would have had a
come
look over to that touchline and seen he's ready to come on. We would have been able to make the sub if we had wanted to.
Yeah. And look, that West Ham miss absolutely knocked his confidence. I think you could actually see that in the games that we've been playing recently. You saw his confidence get a little bit lost because we arguably should have won that game against West Ham. You know, the 3-1 wasn't a fair result, really. You know, he missed the penalty, then we go down and we sort of bottle it because we're pushing for the game. But I do think Enzo had to have a complete calmness, and he was personified there. So I think we really do have to give him credit.
You know
I think it is one of our better
he
performances.
was really clever with that penalty, right? The West Ham penalty was to the left-hand side, wasn't it? But it was nowhere near in the corner enough.
Yeah.
And I think that when he steps up to that, the Brighton goalkeeper's thinking, I know that you ain't risking putting it like in the middle anymore. You're going to go right for that corner because that was why you missed the penalty last time. And that was what you were guilty of last time, is not finding that corner. So I'm going to leap all the way across there and I'm going to get to it. And if I get the right side, I get the right side. And Enzo knew he was thinking that and put it straight down the middle. Rolled it in straight down the middle. I liked it. Enzo was good yesterday, man. I'm really hoping to see more like that from him, especially in Wednesday night's game against Manchester United. So I am going to give Enzo an 8 out of 10 for yesterday's performance.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
8 out of 10 is completely fair. Thought he was brilliant. And I thought it was one of his better games.
The man who I believe has been about an 8 out of 10 all season, Conor Gallagher. Hang your head in shame. Nah, joking now. I love Conor Gallagher. What can we really give him? We've discussed the disciplinary actions here. You give him a 3?
I honestly said 3. I think he let the team down. So I think you have to go way below average. You know, it was an awful moment to get sent off.
He's lifted the team more often than he's let us down.
Yeah.
By tenfold.
Definitely.
But yeah, you got to be better than that, mate. You got to be better than that. You got to be better than that. But, you know, naivety of age and whatnot, we're all right. We're all right with it. Gutted that Conor Gallagher won't be in the team for the Man United match. That's the problem, because I really think we could do with him in there. But I'll tell you one thing, and obviously we're going to preview the Man United game. That will be up tomorrow with you guys. But my little inkling here with the Man United game is that we'll actually see, hopefully, Cole Palmer in the position that I think Cole Palmer is best in as a result of Conor Gallagher missing out, and that's that 10 spot. But keep your eyes peeled. Tomorrow, we're going to be dropping our starting lineups for the Man United game on this channel. Myself and Josh Aveste, 3 out of 10 for Conor Gallagher. Let's go on to the front line. Let's go on to the man that makes Josh's knees go weak every single time he is mentioned. Josh has got, you know, like when we were younger, you'd have a little pin-up girl poster on you or whatever. I had a bit of Lucy Pinder on my one.
God, I remember Luce.
And Josh has got a poster on his wall of Mykhailo Mudryk.
I fancy him, but I can't lie. I just think he's so good.
What is it? Is it the hair?
It's the hair, it's the tattoos. He's a bad boy. I love every part of it, you know.
It's the first time anyone's described Mudryk as a bad boy. He is a bad boy with that butterfly on his neck, I tell you. What were you saying about Mudryk then? Good game?
I thought it was a really good game, right? There were so many moments, and we were discussing this yesterday. I feel that there were moments of electricity that I saw from him that you only see from like world-class elite players. I feel that he has the opportunity in games to just completely do something that no one else could do. Actually, the only person that I likened him to in our squad right now is actually Noni Madueke. Like, I feel that Noni Madueke can beat a player, beat a couple of players, get a shot away and be very good. And it's a shame that we aren't seeing him. But Mudryk does do that every game. There was a turn he did in the first half where he picks up the ball basically around the halfway line, has to beat a man, chops him, runs the sort of half of the pitch, gets the edge of the area, takes a shot away, and it's a whisker away from going in the goal. And I think... I'm trying to think, would Sterling ever do that? He would never take the shot. Would Jackson ever do that? Well, he'd probably spoon it, 10 yards wide. Would Broja do that? We haven't seen Broja enough of the pitch to do it. So I'm thinking I'm sort of thinking of it from the squad management perspective.
Even Palmer, I'll agree with you. Even Palmer don't do that.
Yeah, and so I want players in our team, especially in that wing area that we're seeing, especially when we got all the centre-backs that we're playing, that can do something, a magical moment that can change the game for us. And I think Mudryk is only one of those players, and that's why I'm so bullish on him. So for me, I think he won the penalty. I think overall he was fairly solid. He gave the ball away in moments, and that's why I'm not giving him a 10 out of 10. But for me, I think it's a very solid 7 out of 10 for Mudryk.
I would agree, 7 out of 10 for Mykhailo Mudryk. Let's move on to Nicholas Jackson, our number 9. What do you reckon?
Solid game. I don't think he tore up any trees. I like the pass that he did for Mudryk. I'm going to go, again, a 7, but maybe like 6.5. I just don't think he did more than that. There you go.
I'll give him a 6. I would like to see him come out for the Man United game.
I would too.
I don't want to see him lead the line for the Man United game. But listen, all the best to him. I'm just very unconvinced on Jackson at the minute. Let's cap it off with one of our talismans this season, Raheem Sterling. I'm going to beat you to it. I'd give him a 6 out of 10. I thought Sterling had a couple of good moments. I thought he ran, himself into trouble a couple of times. And that is sort of what you get with Sterling. Not one of his best matches, not a bad match. And I do think that we see him have a really good match against Man United, because I think Sterling at this point, he's like the boxer at the end of his career that just wants the big paydays. Sterling just wants the big lights, the big cameras against the big teams. That's where he's going to be turning up this season. And unfortunately, Brighton, you're not a big team.
That's brutal. That's absolutely brutal. You've dropped that. They're going to fucking hate you.
Yeah.
15 possessions lost, the worst in our entire team yesterday. 63% pass accuracy. So I'm going 6.5 out of 10.
Would I give him a 6?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Harsh.
6.5. It is what it is. Listen, people, that was our player ratings from yesterday's game. We are going to crack on now, because we need to now record our Man United preview video, which will be dropping tomorrow. Make sure you're locked in for that. If you are not already, please do me a massive favour and make sure you are subscribed to Josh Aveste's channel. It is linked in the description, where you can see all of his content. As a massive thank you to him for getting out of bed this morning and joining me. It was hard, man. Getting out of bed this early in these cold mornings ain't easy, but we've got more content dropping across the week, so make sure you're tuned in for it. Also, I am going to be live on the kickoff Wednesday night. Myself and Brian, we're going to be doing the live watch along for the Chelsea against Man United match, so make sure you're locked into that one. And if you're wondering where this podcast is brought to you from, this is Podcast Room in Barnes. It's linked in the description. If you're in the South London area, really, really good place, cheap and affordable to record your podcasts. So make sure you give them a visit. And also, if you put the promo code in Joey Knight 25, you will get 25% discount. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I will be reading them. I'll try and get back to as many of you as I possibly can, and I will see you all in the next one.